But I am so goddamn fed up with the last 10 years. You're not going to believe it. And I'm not apologize. Well, I apologize all the time. I'm not apologizing for my actions. Giovanni, like, what he made things worse with the crap when I came back to Sydney. I thought, okay, I can't believe that. Shit to do with this Abigail and Francis noise and bullshit. Now, Giovanni can say, oh god, this light's right there in my eye. I got a migraine, so I'm trying to do this video with a migraine. The smell of the paint fumes, I'm so over this shit. Yes, I had a bad injury on my way home from work November 30th, 2007. But organisations focusing on that and say, we've had that, how can you got a green card to the US? Then that's discrimination. So you're saying someone with an injury can't get immigration to another country? Like, and basically, oh god, there's an echo coming through there. Now, I've got stereo migraine right now. Absolute stereo migraine. It's killing me. I've had it all night. They painted the whole nice. They painted the hallway. But I'll tell you what is the most toxic fume paint that you're breathing in. And I literally woke up. I don't have much ventilation where I live, and I woke up inhaling fucking fumes, and I have the biggest migraine, and it's not like I don't suffer bad from migraines ever since I was in the Glasgow Coma Scale 13. So let me explain something to you. This is what really pisses me off with disability organisations in Australia in the last 10 years. So the information that you guys have is wrong. What New South Wales State Police have is wrong. You don't want to correct it, and you've then wrongly diagnosed something and reckless endanger my health, and you don't like me calling you out for it. That's not my problem. You caused me health damages. You are going to be held accountable. I'm so furious. So, yeah, the bad injury I had on my way home from work November 30th, 2007, I was working as a VIP host at Star Casino. Okay, I was coming home, I was walking up Cleveland Street. There was a string of muggings in Devonshire Street by a group of Aboriginals from Housing Commission. They know this. It was talked about back in 2008 with Detective Chopra. But because Australia's so scared to say anything about the Abos, and that's the problem. It was a string of muggings down Devonshire. They cut through Riley Street, hit me on Cleveland Street. My back's fucked. Basically, Detective Chopper said it was a blunt object like a crowbar. I don't know if it was a crowbar. He said it was a blunt object like a crowbar, and your back took the force. Like, I got hit here to the back, and here to the eye, and my entire back took the full force. My fucking back is fucked. Every disc in my spine is fucked from November 30th, 2007. I have a slip disc, S1, L5. I've got knee damage, torn meniscus. I have every fucking disc in my back is fucked. I get up every day since 2007, and I've used a walking stick since 2007. Most times I'm fine. I go to chiropractors and I go to imaging. I get injections into the discs. My back is fucked, and it will never ever be better. It will never change. And I've just had social support working fucking assholes attack me for 10 years, and you don't like that I'm standing up to you? Piss off, you leftist little cunts from Housing Commission, from fucking social support working bastards, carers group, retail organisation with Matt O'Rourke, fucking little bastards of Akon and Bobby Goldsmith that had wrong information. I told you, look, that's wrong, but here's the facts. And you would not correct the wrong information and accept the facts. The facts are, I struggle every day with health problems and injuries. I have to maintain those health problems and injuries on a daily basis. It is fucked. Some weeks are better than others. But that's going to be for the rest of my entire life. Now, I still set out and went back to full-time studies in 2009. I studied Design Events Illustration Certificate 4, where I received a credit for my design a wearable object. That's not the first time I studied fashion design at TAFE College. The first time was back in 1997 with Design Fundamentals. And I've studied to be an artist back in 1996 at TAFE College as well. I've studied 3 design courses in my life: Design Fundamentals, Design Events in Illustration, and Interior Decoration, part of interior design. And that's what I've done. I've also done work experience in it. Yeah, I got paid for that work. I'm not going to declare it. As for this rubbish, I am sick and tired of precious arseholes that involved themselves causing me damage when I said, you're causing me damage. They wanted to do what they wanted to do, that I turned around and said, but that's hindering. I don't need what you're peddling. You are hindering my life. That injury from 2007 was huge. It was massive. I never needed a carer. That's where I'm pissed off with my ex-partner. Okay? With what he told people, he got attention for that. As for what arseholes thought, I got no money from that. Nothing. I was on part salary payment to return to work in December 2017. That's what my employment wanted. They wanted a long return to work, thinking that I would just forget about it. Because basically in December 2017, they had to negotiate a return to work at Star Casino as a VIP host with me living with the disabilities I've got. And there's a lot. But like I said, pin that for a minute. Let's go back to when I was mugged. Mugged and robbed November 30th, 2007, attacked by Aboriginals from Housing Commission. Hit to the back of their head. Okay, that was a Glasgow Coma Scale 13. The disc, every fucking disc in my back is fucked. My right side of my body is fucked. It twists my bowels where my bowels are fucked. Okay? You assholes want to attack my fucking life in the last 10 years? And then you don't want me to stand up to you after what I've just gone through in my life? Bullshit. I'm standing up to you bastards. And that's it. I won't walk away from this one. That was a really bad injury that I had November 30th, 2007 on the way home from work. And I didn't stop to take any time to even evaluate it. I was still studying and I was still working, well, in my design work, in my creative side as well. I've already backed this up. I'm not going to be discredited. Then I had arseholes that go, oh, he's got these injuries, how to get a green card to the US? Well, I did. All I had to do was show that I maintained these injuries, and I did that. When I had my Medibank Solutions immigration check, I told them. Maybe I didn't tell them everything, but it's neat to know. For a great example is, I was in a Glasgow Coma Scale 13, woke up in St. Vincent's Hospital. My partner, John Cabino, was next to me, so was his mother, Carmel. Okay, Michael, the identical twin, come and picked Carmel up. She sat by my side. My mother didn't. My mother wasn't there. My partner and his mother was. I kept waking up from the coma. I kept waking up, talking, and slipping back into the coma. Problem is, I felt myself slipping back with no control. I had no control. Okay? So I couldn't control the fact that I was falling back into a box, which is why I can't stand small inside environments. I wake up in fright where I'll be jumping 10 feet in the air and hit the fucking ceiling. Because I feel like my body tells me I'm in a coma and I jump up in fright. My body prevents itself from sleeping. I have so much health conditions and disorders because of it. So if I start to fall asleep, my body instantly shocks itself awake. It's petrified to slip back into a coma. It's a traumatic response. So if I'm in a small inside environment, that gets relieved every day. Can't handle it. So what do you think 2017 did? You exacerbated those injuries and you don't want to be held accountable for it? You exacerbated injuries that I've maintained. I tell people, even when I'm in hotel rooms, I'm like, look, can I just, what's the price difference? I need a bigger room. For a reason, I've got a health problem, I want to go into it. I'm not precious, I need this. Okay? That Glasgow coma, when I was in it, I woke up. Now I'm there and I'm talking. Next minute, I'm back in a coma and I can't move. I can't scream. I'm trying to scream. I know, because I remember I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move and I couldn't speak, but I could see and I could hear. I knew what was going on around me. I was trying to scream. I couldn't get out of this coma. So every time I'm in a small inside space, after a while, my body starts it trembles. It's shock. If I try to sleep overnight, it's why I've told the fucking bitch, stop breaking privacy laws in my life. You're monitoring, your surveillance, you cunt. You want to break privacy and confidentiality laws and prying laws in my life? Leave my living home environment alone. It's very important to maintain actual health conditions. You show me one person that's had an injury like that. Oh, I've seen people, it's like, oh, you've got no idea, that person's paralyzed. I'm like, yeah, they've lost the use of the legs. Okay, they're not in where their files have been moved around in their brain, basically. That's why I look at it. Like that feeling of slipping into a coma. So I literally be there, okay, nice and relaxed. It takes me a while to drift off to sleep. I need everything in place to be able to do so. I try to go to sleep. As soon as my body starts falling asleep, it's like a shock to the system, and it shocks me awake. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes, my body won't stop this. It's a defense mechanism that picked up from November 30th, 2007. It won't stop it. It shocks itself literally awake. I will be dead asleep, and next minute, my whole body just jumps out of bed 10 feet. And my ex-partner, Giovanni Consalvo, could have told people this because he's slept next to me when it's happened. My body literally shocks itself awake, and I'm 10 feet jumping in the air out of bed because I'm and screaming because I'm trying to get out of the coma, because when I was sleeping, I had what they call a sleep terror, and my body believed it was back in a coma, and I'm trying to scream and get out of the coma. That I have to now live with for the rest of my life. So I don't need you organisations that only care about what you are benefiting by lies about me, and that's what you've done. You're not a social worker. You're not a carer. You're not a support worker. You're a scammer. You're only interested in what you could benefit and gain from this. And that's the facts. You don't care. You want to make money from my misfortunate event. And that is the truth and the facts behind this. You do not fucking care. Because if you cared 10 years ago when I said remove false information, here's the facts to do with my injuries, then that's what you would have done. You didn't, because it didn't suit your narrative. It did not suit your agenda. You are only interested in what you can make money from my misfortune event. And I've seen that since November 30th, 2007. I said to these organisations too, Giovanni's told you bullshit, my ex-partner, which really pissed me off and hurt me. It broke my trust. I was like, you're kidding me. After what I've gone through in my life, you went and used my misfortune event in life for you. So Giovanni's not John. They're different people. I met Giovanni after my injuries. I thought you went, you're just as bad as my mother. You're just as bad as my mother's family. You went and set out and used my misfortune event in life to benefit yourself. And you have no, like you have no substance. You have no backbone. You have no conscience that that's a wrong thing to do. But don't worry, he's not alone. A lot of people have. A lot of people have. As per this bullshit about me using drugs, I don't use drugs. Okay? Except for, like, even my illicit drugs I don't use. My medication and so forth that I need is there with my doctors. But I still went, like I said, so you've got that. Yes, those injuries exist. So then in the same breath, you've got organisations going, oh, we shouldn't have got a green card to America. I'm like, well, then that's discrimination, isn't it? So you not only do you want to defame me, thank you very much, but then you want to commit, it's defamation and discrimination. So I went back to my design studies. I did work for Steve Hashimoto from 2009 right into 2012. Okay, so I've done what I've said I've done. I had the money that I had the money. I worked at Star Casino as a VIP host, salary package $47,730 a year. In 2006 and 2007, I worked for Jeff. He had run a tough and glass business out of his parents' place in Hunters Hill. Beautiful house, by the way. His dad was an engineer or something. Stunning house, and a round toilet in the front of it. You walked into the foyer, and to the right-hand side was stunning, like the powder room at the entrance. I was like, oh God, I love this place. The way it was designed. What is it, like 4-car garage downstairs? You sort of when you're looking at the house to the right of it, you go around this sort of like bend down underneath the house, and it's an actual, like a parking lot under the house. That was great. I used to go and work with him 2 days a week, minimum 2 days a week, because he wanted someone that could work for him part-time. I was like, oh, I need a part-time job on top of my full-time job. Because I'm working for Star Casino doing 40 hours a week, although technically you're there for 12 hours a day, but you get paid for a 40-hour week. And Star Casino will let you work 4 days on and have 3 days off in a week. So you're doing four 10-hour shifts. I'm like, brilliant, which means I can pick up a part-time job. I did pick up a part-time job. So on my days off, so I always worked, one full-time, one part-time. Jeff needed someone to work a minimum of 2 days a week. Some days I worked 3 days a week, but I gave him a minimum of 2 days a week. That's $300 a day, $600 a week, $31,200, 600 times 52. Yeah, 31,200. That's right. Yeah, 600 times, 600 times 52, $31,200 a year. I can show it on my bank statement because a few times Jeff actually paid me through the business himself. Most of the time it was cash in my hand. But a few times he's like, I've got to pay you for the company this week. I'm like, that's all right. So it's there on my actual bank statements. Okay, minimum, like when I'm working part-time job, it actually has my part-time employment. There's 2 days. So that you actually see my full-time employment and my part-time employment. I can back this up. So in my 20s, my main job was $47,730 a year, and my part-time job was $31,200 a year. I saved most of my salary. That's all my money. That's all my savings. I owned an investment property, 16 Scott Road in Tamworth. I rented that out the entire time. Like I had that in my early 20s. Okay, that was an extra income coming in as well. I sold that in 2008, not because I needed to, but because I wanted to. That profit, $189,000, sat in my bank account. I had a tiny mortgage to pay out. That sat in my bank account until 2018 when I was ready to move to America and use it. I'm not walking away from what you organizations did to my life because the simple fact is you chose to not listen to me. There's now health conditions and injuries that have been ignored for 10 years. For 10 years. Because you go down what you want to push your narrative and agenda, which ignores actual health conditions. Now, I brought this back up with George Jacobs back in March 2013. Sorry, Dr. George Jacobs. When I said, what'd you do when he raised red flags with an acute care centre or some crisis group? Because Giovanni in February, end of February, went and saw him wailing in his office that Justin's not leaving the apartment, he's depressed and suicidal, and Giovanni has to have a month off work to look after me. That's what he was saying. But I wasn't here. I was in America. The end of February, and I'm held accountable because what Giovanni did behind my back and what he said. Why am I paying for that? Why am I? And he didn't make money from it. This is what's so stupid. He did this to run around behind my back and cheat on me, which I don't care that you cheated. I don't care that you cheated. I don't care what you were doing. I care that you lied about me and your lies affected me. I care about this. That's what I care about. And he never got it. It's like, oh, because okay, I'm not into fisting. I would talk openly about sex. My sex life and partner's like, no, man, look, it's boring for me. So he goes off. He'll be at work, he'll be on a gay app, and he's got to leave to go meet up with someone. He's like, I've got to go home. Justin needs me. He's having an episode and leave work. It's bullshit. Because I found this out. And that's the truth. The only time he was with me was for medical legal appointments. And that was once every 3 months. Now, I kept trying to work it in with him. So it was at the end of his shift. And the reason why he had to be with me for those appointments, well, number one, I needed a witness. Okay, and even my own solicitor, James Caspitas, said, because I kept going to these appointments by myself and it was doing me damage, basically, because I had no witness to it. He said, bring your partner with you. You do never go to these appointments alone. So I was like, all right, so Gio, you got to come to these appointments. He's like, I'll bring a friend. I'm like, you're my partner. Like, seriously, and Giovanni lived for free. Okay, I'm not going to rubbish him because I'm not going to, but he did wrong by me. With these organizations, he did wrong. That was bullshit what he told people. I mean, I can't be in two places at once, but what he did in February, March 2013, I brought up to him 2 years ago, and he said to me, oh, you knew about that? I'm like, yeah, of course I did. He goes, why didn't you bring it up then? I'm like, what was the point, Gio? He goes, well, would have fixed things. I'm like, what would have fixed? That I found out that you lied about me since 2009, so you could get ahead and get you out of the situation that you were in before I met you? Because he was living in a share house with... he rented a room from Paula Ingeberson. He had no money, no assets, no belongings. He had nothing. He had nothing. You want to see who the person that was toxic in the relationship was? When we first got into a relationship, where was Giovanni? He was unemployed. He was homeless. He had no money, struggling in debt. no job, an unemployed waiter. Mark Gilchrist, his ex-boyfriend, apparently kicked him out, and he was living with Paula. He rented a room. In that room, he had a mattress, an Xbox, and a small TV to play the Xbox on. That was it. His entire life packed into a 3-door hatchback that he did not own. That's where he was at when I met him. That's where he was at when I met him. Ask Paula, ask Mark Gilchrist, ask Jane Harrison. Okay? That's where he was at. Where was I? Well, I had my sports car that I owned outright. No debts. I had just in one of my savings accounts 140,000. I can show you that. In one. I had several. I had ones with 50,000, ones with 80,000. I'd just been mugged after work. That's right. November 30th, 2007, but I was on a return to work. And I'd already done orientation with Emerald Design Centre to go back to my TAFE college studies. Everything was perfect in life. I was still doing other side jobs. I still committed to that maintenance that I was doing as well. So maintenance was only casual. It was here or there. Whenever, like I was like the guy's sidekick, basically. Okay, that was another job I did as well. I did casual maintenance with a guy, Cartier, who lived up the road from me on Cleveland Street, could have confirmed that. Because I worked maintenance on her place with this other maintenance guy. I can't even think of his name right now. I didn't know him long. I just did some casual work. He was like, oh, I've got some jobs on. I need someone else like this day and this week. I'm like, I'll do that. Most times I'm changing forceps, tap fittings, and vanities. Because that's what I could do. Everything. And the floating floorboard. Oh, the Boomerang Avenue in Elizabeth Bay. There was a place that I can show you. Actually, we were invited there, me and this maintenance guy, to a party at the house that we just done maintenance on. We did the kitchen... I can't remember his name. It was a nice guy. Latino or something. It was like a Brazilian or something. Anyway, he we did the bench top. We had to cut a hole for the round kitchen sink to go in. Yeah. Funny enough, and the guy's place he was in, was it the like Spartans or something? Like something. It was in a TV show. I think he's like New Zealand guy that was in a TV show years ago. And then he invited us back he was having a party at his place. It's in Boomerang Avenue. So I did the kitchen bench top with this guy, with the maintenance guy. Yeah. Oh God, what was his name? Is it Menu? Something like that, the guy's name. Yeah, so I did maintenance with this maintenance man. So I was still doing my casual jobs. God, I did the Horizon building, the floating floorboards, and that was after I had met Giovanni Consalvo. He could have stopped and goes, oh yeah, Justin was still doing maintenance long after he met me. Because I was still doing maintenance. Like, why didn't you just tell these people the truth? That's why I asked for, go back and tell Matt O'Rourke and these organisations the truth, thanks. And he didn't. Now, so, I was still doing work for Steve Hatch-Dimitri in Chili Pip. Then the neighbour upstairs. So after Jeremy Patterson moved out, he went overseas. So I was at 10392 Cleveland Street. He was at 20392 Cleveland Street. So it was a big terrace house divided into 2 units. The neighbour above me, it was Jeremy Patterson's girlfriend, which is Anna May? Her brother Bobby May, he was a teenager at the time. He set fire to his bedroom. Somehow he set fire to his bedroom. I joked around because they were Indians and said, was he cooking in there? But no, like, I don't know. He reckons he left, like a candle got knocked over. So I have no idea. But what happened was, that was in 2012. No one was there. Luckily, no one was home. Well, we weren't. They were. Jacques was home. Bobby, so there was Jacques and Bobby May upstairs. And somehow Bobby May set fire to his room. Anyway, that place went up like a piece of paper. We come home, we see it. It was actually, we're driving back, crossing, where were we going? With the direction we're driving. I think it was like, so it was coming where you go, is it Walker Street direction? Or we're on Young Street. Anyway, we're driving back and I'm like, oh, Geo, can you smell that as bushfires? That's what literally we're driving back. Oh, they're in Bunnings. We're driving back from Bunnings. I'm like, I can smell bushfires. It was our fucking house burning. Okay. So we come around the corner and Kim and Hillary. I had the most amazing neighbours in Surrey Hills. God, I miss them because I've had shit in the last 10 years. They run out. Like they were, so I was so close to my neighbours in Surrey Hills. Hillary and Kim, they lived on the corner of Marlborough Street and Goodlet Lane. Peter and Pauline, who lived in the big house across from them on the other corner. You had Grant and Brian, who lived down in Goodlet Lane. Cartier, who her place went across to Goodlet Lane, but is from Cleveland Street. Sonia and Mark Wild, they were on Cleveland Street. I had the best neighbours. And back in those days, Rainey Francis had Garden Life across the road in Young Street. Plus, there was John and Vicky, John and Nikki used to have the mechanic shop there on the corner of Young Street and Cleveland Street there. Like, I had the best. Like, they knew me for years. I was in that area of Surrey Hills for a very long time. I lived there that is actually the longest period I've ever lived anywhere in my entire life. I've never, where I grew up, I didn't live as long as I lived there in Surrey Hills. I've never lived anywhere in my entire life as long as I've lived in Surrey Hills and Rushcutters Bay. There is not one area I have lived longer than those areas. Surrey Hills and Rushcutters Bay is the longest area I've lived there, and I loved it. Anyway, Kim's partner, Hillary, came running over to us. She goes, "Justin, your house is on fire." And I was like, we were devastated, but it was upstairs. So they put out upstairs and it flooded our place. But what happened, and I said to the rest of us, I'll live here while you're fixing upstairs. They wouldn't let us. So the ceiling upstairs collapsed into my place. So the front bed, like the front rooms were damaged. But I still had everything in the dining room was fine. So everything in the dining room, what I lost was predominantly like my big screen TV, my turntable, so my record player, my surround sound system. I can show all this. I've got photos of my Pioneer surround sound system and my record player. My records I salvaged what I could. There were some that couldn't be salvaged. So I've salvaged that. You can see this in photos, and that's the thing. So I already had all these belongings before we moved out of there in 2012. So then in 2012, because all that happened, I said to Steve Hatch and Dimitri at Chili Pip, I can't work for you at the moment. I'm too distraught. I have to move. Like this is a massive big job. So I put everything in storage and took some stuff up to the Central Coast to my grandparents' old place that was the family's holiday house. So 23 Bangalow Street, Etong Beach, is the Fleming side of my family's holiday house that my dad's sisters end up selling at the end of 2015. So my dad's sisters, of course, is Linda Pincham and Sharon Williams, but they're both Fleming. Their main names are Fleming because dad's marketing Fleming. So that house was Ruby and Stanley Fleming's house, my grandparents. And we just went there to the holiday house to stay and unwind. And I said to Steve Hatch, I said, look, I can't do that travel. I can't travel long distance to work. I can't do it. Even when I was working, I've got to be close, living in the radius. So I can't do any work for you. I said, once I settle back in the city, I'll come back to work for you at Chili Pip. So that's the reason why I stopped working at Chili Pip. So I was just staying. That was a massive big trauma. So I was staying at the family's holiday house, ended up settling in June, found apartment 3 first in Rushcutters Bay, looked at it because I was just grabbing anything I could, and I looked at it and I went, oh gee, I can't live here. He goes, it's too small, isn't it? I said, yeah, it's too small. I said, it's going to exacerbate PTSD. It's going to exacerbate the hypervigilance, anxiety, and PTSD. I said, because of the issues I've got with the coma, I can't live in those rooms. I said, I'll talk to real estate. And I said, look, there's a place coming available. It's not ready yet. Can you hold off? I said, yeah. So I pay rent on apartment 3. I'll move you to apartment 5 when it's available. I'm like, thank you. And that's exactly what happened. So then I went from apartment 3 in Rushcutters Bay to apartment 5. So by the end of the year in 2012, I moved to apartment 5. Still going for the green card process. Filled the application out for the green card in 2011. Submitted it in 2012. Okay, now remember, this Giovanni Craig-Consalvo is my long-term partner. I've never had a boyfriend after him. I've never had a relationship after him, and I won't have one after him. If anyone should benefit on the fact that I hold a green card, it should be Giovanni Craig-Consalvo. But I'm furious with his behaviours at his organisations. And I said that to him. I said, when I made the entrance, so pin this, let's put that, what I will say to him, let's keep going. So then in 2013, I'm over. So in 2012, I planned to be in America after I submitted the application, but there was too much going on with the move. So in 2013, so I was there in March. Okay, so February, March 2013. That's when the red flags were raised by these ridiculous crisis groups because what Giovanni had told Dr. George Jacobs, that wasn't true. I've already given this enough attention in the past. Those lies are still not corrected with mental health. So these are lies that have gone to mental health and they're not corrected. I asked to have them corrected in March 2013. They were not. Can't be in two places at once, as I told the mental health unit that got involved. I said I wasn't suicidal. I wasn't at home. I wasn't depressed. Giovanni used that to get time off work. It's a lie. I can't be in two countries at once. Why didn't you check immigration? Because I was in New York. I was February, March. I was in New York. Then I popped over to Mexico City. I had friends in Mexico City. So I was like, oh, I'm in New York. And there's no rush back to Australia because I'm in America to go for the green card process as well. I saw Daniel, Daniel Babajon in Brooklyn. And I'm like, oh, hang on. There's, guys I know in Mexico. I might just drop over to Mexico City while I'm here and say hello. That's what I'm like. So I'm in New York, and I went from New York, flew over to Mexico City, caught up with some people, was there for a few weeks there as well. So I wasn't in Australia. And I said this to George Jacobs, Dr. George Jacobs. I'm like, you've raised red flags with the crisis group, an acute care centre for me, and they've come around my place. So they were coming around my place, my apartment, to spy, so break privacy laws is what they're doing. They're basically walking around the area of residence to try and cite me back in 2013, right? But what they saw was Giovanni had turned my apartment into a drug fest sex pit. So he was having a revolving door of sex when I wasn't there. And that's the truth. I found this out because one of the little twinks that was staying at my place. And I was furious. When I found out about this when I came back from America, I was furious with him because that's my place with my expensive furniture, my bed, my sheets, my jewelry, my clothes, and people were literally staying in my apartment, a lot of people, for a month when I was overseas. I'm not here. So, and that's the truth. It can be backed up. I've already discussed this with Giovanni. When the guy actually came to get his porno out of my computer, I said, what happened when I wasn't here? He told me. And that's the truth. I discussed it with Giovanni 2 years ago. Okay? Now, as for that Abigail Ann Francis Noyce bitch that got involved as well, you want to be charged. Your little scam is not going to hold up. You may have manipulated police prosecutors, okay, and police at the moment, but even the magistrate looked at this and was like, this is a fucking scam. Even he said, it's a bump. Like, police prosecutors and police actively harassed me with wrong information. It's like, no, you fucking lying scumbags. Abigail Noyce needs to be charged with preventing the course of justice, at the very least, plus lying to police and committing a scam. It's a scam. Oh, she did harass me since the Wednesday when she came over. So this is a friend of Giovanni's that came over around 2023, around that time. And she had a fight with her drug using, cannabis dealing, cannabis smoking New Zealand fuckwit boyfriend Leif from Maroubra. They were living together. She came over with an attention-seeking behaviour, as those types of scrubber women do. They're low lives. I mean, I've lived below a fucking deadbeat scrubber of those types of female that lives above me here. Deadbeat women that bitch about men and make up stories. They're just low-life women, and most of the times they're drunken, deadbeat women. And she was. So she came over this big cry story about life. And he does nothing. He sits around, smokes cannabis and all this bullshit. Anyway, so they're getting on the terps since the Wednesday. So she's drunk. They're just drinking. This bitch. Okay? By the Friday, so she already harassed me on the Wednesday. By the Friday, she corners me in the kitchen twice. They told me, she made up a story that, we're just discussing his dog. Liar. She heard me on the phone, she told me to stop pursuing the matter and let criminals get away with criminal behaviour, which is what her exact words were. Let criminals get away with criminal behaviour. You've got to stop pursuing this about Giovanni being a carer. I'm like, I won't stop pursuing it because it's damaged my reputation. Then the big bullshit, I fell backwards. There's a lip. There was a lip from the kitchen to the dining room about this high. I've measured it. I've taken photos of it. She was standing on the lip and she was drunk. Did police breathalyze her? No. Why didn't you breathalyze her? She would have been well and truly intoxicated over the limit. She'd been drinking for 3 days straight. She was drunk. She even goes to the police. This I don't know what this is. This brown stuff came out of my nose and my mouth. I'm like, it's red wine. Like, she goes there. She was drinking in the middle of the day. She's like, and then I fell backwards and this liquid stuff came out. She's a nut job. I don't know what it is. I'm like, it's the red wine you were fucking drinking for breakfast, you alcoholic. Police didn't fucking do their job. They harassed me. The little fucking cunts with your police corruption harassed me. It's like, oh, fuck off. Even the male magistrate looked down and said he bumped into her. Like, you're really trying to make this, we're going to make it domestic violence. It's like, is it domestic violence? I don't know her. She's a friend of Giovanni's. And he bumped into her when he walked past her and she fell. It was a bump. The magistrate looked at the fucking pigs of corrupt police and said it was a bump. So they've really actively come out and harassed my life in the last 10 years. I'm not backing down. If my family, even my mother and my twin sister want to come back in my life ever again, then you come with a legal team. I want to take New South Wales Police on for your fucking bullshit scams. Hey, New South Wales Police, 1997 Royal Commission, you pieces of shit, in police corruption. Then what you've just done the last 10 years is police corruption. Well, how many police officers committed suicide over that police corruption? I'll tell you what, you want to talk about Royal Commissions? There's only one Royal Commission that needs to happen, and that's straight back into New South Wales Police Force, into your police corruption. That's what needs to happen. Completely dismantle New South Wales Police prosecutors, detectives, sergeants, police officers, and a shitload of you bastards committed suicide because you're fucking criminals. It needs to be another clean up again. So that's what happened there with that bullshit. But I'm sick and tired. This is the rubbish that Giovanni's been telling people since I met him. He told people bullshit stories so he could get ahead and get himself out of the situation he was in. He had nothing. All you have to do is an investigation. Where was Giovanni when I met him? He lived in a share house. He rented a room. He had no money, no assets, no belongings. Struggling in massive amounts of debt. He was unemployed. He came and moved into my place, into my apartment. Well, it was a terraced house divided into 2 units. He moved into my place with my money, my assets, my belongings. Okay, one bank account alone, I had over 140,000 in it, and I've got those statements to prove it. I've got all my bank statements. I can go right back to the 90s. I can prove every single statement I've made. I have a supporting document and evidence to back it up. Now, as I said, I was studying still and working for Steve Hashimoto. The only reason why I stopped working for Chili Pip with Steve Hashimoto, which most times was 7 days a week, 12 hours a day with him. Even Mum could have stood up and said, well, yes, because even when Justin was here for Christmas in 2010, Steve called him and said he needs to go back to, he needs someone there right now. I'm like, oh, I'm all the way in Tamworth. It was Boxing Day. He said, can you do it? I'm like, yep. I wasn't going to give up that job on the side. I was being a design consultant. I was putting my studies to basically practical. So yeah, I did. Mum could have stood up and said this, but she didn't because I was still working. The only reason was I said, look, when I'm staying at 23 Bangalow Street, Ettalong Beach at the holiday house, I said, look, I can't do the travel. I said, I'll wait till I get settled in. So moved, when I finally got the place and got settled in was at the end of the year in 2012. Went to America in February, March 2013. What Giovanni told people was bullshit lies. Came back from the States. Nan had the stroke in 2013. My whole life was then at my Nan's bedside. Then I started slowing down because that was an issue with my blood in 2014. And that was lactic levels and even keratin levels were risen in my blood. And I had a muscle. So doctors tested I had this muscle condition. So I started having health problems. So the only time I actually stopped, the only time I'd stopped ever was back in 2014. Okay. Then I tried, then you guys, basically, that was it. Then you guys harassed me since 2015. There's the timeline. Now, I'm not backing down. And as for Belinda Jeffries, who thought she was entitled to get involved, you're someone's fucking goddamn hairdresser cunt. That's it. We're not friends. I didn't meet you on the notion that, oh, we've met out and we're friends. No, I went to a business for what that business provided. I walked into a salon called La Boutique Hair Salon in Double Bay. I walked in oh, it was around August 2013, to get a haircut and treatment. Your hairdresser, and that's it. You don't have a right. Not only is it criminal what you did, it's unethical for you to involve yourself into your client's life. And I stand my ground about what I believe that the front of the hairdressing salon's all about.